You can change the world. Learn from proven change makers from all walks of life. They'll show you how to raise money, invest for impact, and so much more. You can start small. Start today and never quit. You can change the world by strengthening your superpowers. Now, welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. We have with us Minda Dentler, who is an extraordinary human being. She is the author of a new children's book. We're going to talk about that. It's called The Girl Who Figured It Out. And we're going to talk about her career as a triathlete, an Ironman competitor. We'll talk a little bit about her growing up and her experiences as a youth. As a polio survivor, she is just truly an inspiration. You don't want to miss this, so stick around with us here as we chat. Minda, welcome to the show. We're just thrilled to have you back.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while since you were on the show. I think, golly, it's been 8 or 9 years, but I'm so glad to reconnect. You're just an extraordinary human being, and some of the things that you've done, I'm jealous that I haven't been able to do. I once dreamed of training for and competing in an Ironman, and I figured out that was just not something I was going to be able to do. So I'm really impressed ever more that you have been able to do that. It's just really something. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your story in terms of your growing up? Let's start there. Because I think that's an important framing for the rest of our conversation today.
Sure. Well, I thought maybe I would just start at the very beginning, which was I was born in India, and at the time, my birth mother didn't have access to a vaccine, and I contracted polio at around 6 months, and so my legs became paralyzed. My birth mother thought that she couldn't take care of me, and so she left me at an orphanage. And the picture that you see on the screen is me in America with my adopted family. I was adopted at age 3.5, and I moved to Spokane, Washington. I have two brothers, one also adopted, and he's from Korea. And my parents had two children of their own. Living in Washington, I was able to get the medical care necessary to eventually be able to walk with leg braces and crutches. But, your question is about what was it like growing up? I think, living in a place like Spokane, it was slightly isolating as a person with a disability. I was very different in comparison to the others, especially as a child. I was super self-conscious. I just felt like I didn't fit in. But my parents, they really had high expectations for me, and they really helped me internalize my belief that my disability shouldn't hold me back, and so it didn't.
Well, yeah, and you have grown up to be such an inspiration, having overcome some amazing things, and I don't just mean learning to walk. That I'm sure was a difficult thing, but let's talk about your racing. I mean, you are just really incredible here. Here's a picture of you in the Kona Ironman company. This is the full Ironman. In fact, isn't Kona the kind of the championship event?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So this is a big deal to even qualify for this race. It took years of training for you to do this. Tell us about your career as an Ironman.
Well, I have to admit, I was a late bloomer when it came to athletics. I participated from the sidelines growing up. Like, I was always volunteering for races, but I never thought that I could be an athlete myself. And it wasn't until I was living in New York City. I was age 28 when I was introduced to the sport of hand cycling. And then at age 30, I was introduced to the sport of triathlon. And my journey as a triathlete to that Kona race was about 5 years. And I not only had to learn how to ride my bike, but I also had to learn how to swim and also push a racing wheelchair. Um, and that's my version of running. And if you don't know what an Ironman is, it's a long distance triathlon where participants swim 2.4 miles, they bike 112 miles, and they do a marathon or a 26.2 mile run. And the big thing was at the time when I was pursuing Kona was that no female wheelchair athlete had ever completed the race because they had some really strict time cutoffs. And so, for example, you have to complete each of the segments in certain time limits. And what you see on the screen is um, my second time at Kona. But the first time I went to Kona, I failed. I didn't make the bike cutoff time. I got pulled off the course. It was really devastating. And
That would be heartbreaking.
it,
Heartbreaking.
yes, and I committed with my husband that Christmas time that we were going to do everything we could to figure it out and to to do everything to make me as prepared as possible for that Kona rematch. So it was an exciting, long, and just like unbelievable day with that race. Like I walked into that race super prepared. The key difference was that I really had the confidence to get it done because I had done all of the work necessary, and I had a great team of people who were behind me and were part of my journey, training alongside me to like being there even on race day to cheer me on. And when I crossed that finish line, like it was like a dream come true, really. And it was just like a culmination of all the hard work and dedication, but also I really appreciated all the people who were a part of my journey to even get to that finish line. So I became the first female wheelchair athlete to complete the Ironman World Championship in 2013. And I did it in 14 hours and 39 minutes.
That is just an incredible feat. So few people are able to train to be able to complete that athletic achievement, and to be the first woman to do that in a wheelchair. That is wow.
Thank you.
That is an impressive feat. That is an impressive feat. What a kudos to you. As you think about your experiences, um, what motivates all of that? I mean, the challenge to do that, to train. I didn't have it in me. I thought about this pretty seriously. I bought the bike. I had a
Mhm.
pool. I was running. I couldn't do it. I could not make it work. How did you get yourself there?
I mean, not every day I was motivated. I have to be real. I think a lot of it, I think, is that I'm very goal oriented, and um, my parents really like encouraged me to go after my dreams and goals. And when I had decided to take on the Ironman, it did seem kind of insane, but it wasn't um, it took 5 years, from the start of me doing triathlon to doing an Ironman. So that's there's like a proper growth pattern there. But when it comes to motivation, it's I think a lot of it is it's within, but also having people around you that can keep you accountable. I'm very into like intermediate goals, so I had like times and races that I did in between to help me get prepared. And I I was very keen on just getting it done for myself because it was a challenge that I wanted to take on. I also work full time, and it was really nice to have something outside of my job that got me excited, and that gave me that personal challenge that I was looking for.
Yeah, it's you really are inspiring. Of course, I wonder. I know some of the energy that you've deployed since the race has been in uh, kind of the um, service. You've spent a lot of energy with Rotary
Mhm.
to help in their effort to eradicate polio, which a lot of people think it's gone because there hasn't been a case of polio in the United States. Well, not many. Been a few in the last year or two, hasn't there? But it's been since the 80s since there really were since it was a problem here, but it's still a problem in other places. So tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing as a volunteer.
Sure. Well, I kind of want to start with like a personal experience that I had had. I have a daughter. She is now 9, and I recall vividly when she was 2 months old. I took her to get her vaccines, including polio, and I remember feeling so emotional, realizing that she would never have to go through the difficulties that I live with polio because she had access to a vaccine. And I think this moment really reinforced not only the importance of vaccines, but my desire to really advocate for them or to raise awareness to a disease that many people may not have heard of, called polio. And that sort of like jump started my interest in polio awareness and vaccines. And then when I was 2014, I was invited by Rotary International to actually 2015 to participate in a national immunization drive in my home country of India. And within 5 days, they vaccinated over 172 million children. And so in the back streets of New Delhi, I had the opportunity to give 2 drops of this life saving vaccine to babies so they wouldn't have polio. And this really felt like a full circle moment for me because here I was like, my mom didn't have access to the vaccine when I was a baby and I contracted polio. And now, with a daughter of my own, I was able to get her immunized. And now, going back to the country of my birth, I'm giving the vaccine to babies in India so they would not get polio. I think it really inspired me to continue the mission to really raise awareness for this disease and to advocate to make sure that all children have access to these important vaccines.
And it's also all these things combined to give you the opportunity to be on stage pretty regularly. Yeah, you obviously gave this TED talk, but it gives you a platform and a way to share and bring awareness to all this stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have been able to give that TED talk. I think it was a great opportunity to not only share what I learned when I conquered the Kona Ironman, but also to shift and show that I am now taking on what I would call a bigger Ironman or proverbial goal of helping to raise awareness for polio and the eradication of it.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned your daughter. Here she is, right? This is
Yes.
your 9-year-old daughter and your
Yes.
husband there. This was taken just last July when you competed in this was a half Ironman triathlon,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've
So
been a
only
triathlete
about
for
70 miles.
only 70 miles. Well, I think it's a manageable distance now that, um,
It feels
I'm,
short to someone who's done 126 or whatever it works out to be, or 112 or whatever, these crazy numbers. Um,
yeah.
well, let's talk quickly about your book. We're um, you have written this book, The Girl Who Figured It Out. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so I wrote a story about my life, about being a paralyzed orphan from India and my journey to becoming an Ironman World Champion. And a lot of it is about like what I learned. So it's about hard work, resilience, determination, and that belief that anyone can overcome their challenges and achieve their goals too. I was really inspired to write this book because it really stems from my childhood. Like, there were rarely stories of characters with disabilities, and now as a parent of a young daughter, like, I saw that similar absence. And this is the story that I wish I had as a young child with a disability.
Yeah, and you've already been sharing the story. The book isn't out yet. It'll be it. Well, as we air this, and we're recording this a few weeks earlier, but the book is now out, but just barely. But you've had an opportunity to start sharing the story with some students and kids, right? How's that
Yes,
going?
I love it. I it was like a realization of a dream come true. Like, I had gotten a pre-copy of my book and I shared it with my daughter's third grade classroom, and I like got goosebumps because I realized like this is what I wanted to do. Like, I want to be able to share my story and help change the lives of our next generation. I want them to not only think differently about people with disabilities, but also to be inspired to go after their goals too. And it was like it just filled up my heart when kids got really excited about it, and they asked some really thought-provoking questions, and it was really neat to see them processing in real time like the impact of a story like mine.
Yeah. Well, Minda, this has been such a fun conversation. We're going to come back in a minute, but I'm here, folks, with Minda Dentler, the author of The Girl Who Figured It Out. And she's just an amazing human being. We're so excited to have her. And stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk to her about her superpower. Join us at Supercrowd Baltimore to connect with community-focused business leaders and investors working to support diverse founders, social entrepreneurs, and community builders. Learn how to raise money from the crowd and how to invest like a pro. March 21st at the B&O Rail Museum. Register today at thesupercrowd.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Join us for Supercrowd 24 for 2 full days of wealth and impact creating content at this virtual conference on April 17th and 18th. We'll have 100 speakers and live pitch sessions. Learn how to invest like a pro and raise money from the crowd. Save 50% with the discount code SUPERCROWD at thesupercrowd.com. Welcome back. We're so so happy. We're having so much fun with Minda Dentler today. Minda is an author of a children's book. She is a successful Ironman triathlete and a great human being. We're excited to have her here on the show today. We're now going to talk to her a little bit about her superpower. Minda, you have accomplished so much. You know, I'm I hate to say I'm jealous, but I'm kind of jealous because I wish I had your strength, right? I genuinely I've run a few marathons, right? So I I the idea of running competing in an Ironman event is something I really wanted to do. I didn't do it. I am no
You got
Minda
to do it
Dentler.
now. Just kidding.
I should. My hip won't let me anymore, but
I get
too
that.
many gray hairs. But listen, Minda, what is your superpower?
Um, I think my superpower is about overcoming challenges. I think, especially as a person with a disability, like um, maybe at the beginning people didn't have high expectations of me, but I think with my parents' encouragement and their belief and my internal desire to succeed, I have been able to overcome a number of obstacles in order for me to achieve the goals that I set out for myself.
Well, that is inspiring, and you are impressive. I think the obvious story, the obvious evidence of your ability to overcome challenges is finishing Kona the second time after you came close. Uh, that's inspiring. Can you think of another example? Maybe that's not fair, but can you think of another example of a challenge that you've overcome?
Yeah, I think just I'm very lucky to have been adopted, and my parents, I sort of talked about this before, but because they've had high expectations of me, it really gave me that self-confidence that I needed to really think that I could achieve and overcome whatever came my way. And um, like it could be as easy as like when I was growing up, like I had to learn how to walk with leg braces and crutches. In the lead up to learning how to do that, like I would fall, I would like, like, and like I had to learn how to pick myself back up. Like that's super simple, but it was a serious challenge for me to be able to be like a walking functional person with my leg braces and crutches. And like another example would be learning how to ride the regular bus. I didn't want to ride the short bus with the other disabled students. I wanted to ride the regular bus with my sister. And so I had to figure out how to like get on that bus without falling. And it's like these are small examples, but I think these are really like illustrative of how like you could think that somebody with a disability like mine wouldn't be as active as I am, and it all started with me as a child.
Yeah, as you think about overcoming challenges, I know the people who are watching are like me, like, I want to be more like Minda. How do I do this? What's one tip you could share with us to help us learn to overcome challenges better?
One tip. Um, Look, we all know that challenges are a normal part of our life, right? They help us grow, they help us become more resilient, and you know, like it also allows us to practice and to eventually feel like we're stronger and more confident to take on more challenges. I think one tip I would say is practice. I know that sounds pretty basic, but I think when you put in the work to either like learn a new skill, to get help so you can move further or faster, or you can just focus on the task at hand. I think that is one key skill that'll help you in becoming a, like enable you to overcome challenges more quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's a powerful, great insight. I appreciate you sharing that. As we wrap up here our conversation today, I'm so grateful that you take the time. Would you just take a minute and tell people how they can learn more about you, your book, and how they can connect with you? Uh, I know sometimes corporations hire you to come speak.
Yes.
You've got the book. We want to make sure people know how to get the book, and of course, people are going to want to connect with you on a personal level as well. So give them the best way to do that. Okay.
Sure. Well, first, I would start out with contacting me through my website. You can learn more about me, my speaking, my book. It's mindadentler.com. I'm also on different social media platforms at Minda Dentler on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and M Dentler on LinkedIn. So I'd love to hear from you all, and I'd love to share my story more, and hopefully I can inspire others to take on big goals too.
Well, you are an inspiration. You do inspire us. We're so grateful that you take the time to be with us today. Thank you so much. We want to wish you every success in launching your book so that you can continue to expand the audience of people that you inspire with your incredible achievements and the great work that you're doing. We want to see you continue to thrive and succeed. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All righty, let's do some good.